Is Michael Emanuele,
And I'm George Steele, and
and
this is
we're
our
going.
current issues presentation.
This presentation is on cheating the system. How KPMG decided to try and manipulate the PCAOB and their auditing standards, and let's get into it. So, in the articles that were presented to us, KPMG was getting reviewed for their audits that they conducted over the year in 2016. KPMG is one of the big four accounting firms responsible for many large-scale audits on private companies, including Citigroup, General Electric, Wells Fargo, and PepsiCo. And in 2016, the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board conducted an investigation of KPMG's auditing activities and concluded that nearly half of the audits performed were insufficient, meaning that the audits had adverse opinions and modified and were not legitimate. So it was a scandal. This issue is expanded by the fact that KPMG was aware that these audits were not sufficient and instead were planning to steal the exam and rig the investigation so they would receive a passing report. As a result, KPMG partners were charged with these actions and will be undergoing trial. 3 people, including former KPMG partners, have pleaded guilty to criminal charges in the matter, and KPMG has blamed these 3 individuals for the repeated crimes in 2017 when KPMG again failed to meet the PCAOB's standard for auditing.
All right, so now we're going to get into the KPMG's future, rather, and their external consequences. So now a high frequency of audits with significant deficiencies, such as those audited by the PCAOB, will greatly reduce the assurance provided by KPMG's audits. This has the potential to open litigation against KPMG for malpractice in performing audits that were relied on by investors and creditors for decision-making purposes. This could force several clients to leave KPMG for another Big Four firm in order to appease their stakeholders and reduce liability for future litigation.
Well, how could that
Uh,
possibly happen?
how could what possibly happen?
That they could not follow the audit guidelines.
So what essentially happened here is these KPMG partners were working with a former member of the PCAOB who knew about the tests that were undergoing in to test if the audit was legitimate or not. And instead of actually trying to do the audit legitimately, they decided to cheat the exams because knowing that what the checks were going to be done to see if it was legitimate, they were going to look for workarounds.
It's clearly not good, is it?
No.
No, no, it's not. We get
Okay, I'll
into
let you
that
guys
in a
keep
little
going.
bit. All right, so these potential actions could raise concerns about the accuracy of all of KPMG
information. They may not be doing as well as they report, or they may be reporting worse to avoid taxes. It's like we don't know for sure, which is a major issue for users.
Okay.
Okay. So, and for our future as accountants, the conspiracy found within KPMG, accountants will be held to a higher standard of trust by the PCAOB and other accounting boards across the world. The goal of an accountant is to translate financial information in a feasible manner to users. If this information is wrong and construed to be incorrect, our integrity is ruined, essentially. Moving forward, the PCAOB will be creating new standards to prevent this type of fraud, including the inspection of some of our backgrounds to prevent insider information. This issue could have been avoided if KPMG partner Brian Sweet had not worked at the PCAOB, because he would have lacked the knowledge to cheat the inspection altogether. All in all, the integrity of accountants has decreased as a result of the scandal, considering KPMG is one of the major standards of accountants being in the Big Four. At this, as time moves forward, more government regulation will be seen to prevent such incidents where big corporations can take advantage of the system set in place.
All right.
And
Now, I'll talk about the current status of KPMG in 2019. So KPMG and other firms within the Big Four have decided to create new executive committees responsible for the oversight on managing risk, performance, and controls of audit business and their auditing procedures. This action was taken by KPMG to short the regulator's recommendation for splitting the audit and consulting businesses. This recommendation was furthered when the idea of having smaller auditing firms overwatch larger auditing firms, which would effectively establish a system of checks and balances. But this notion was ignored. Ernst Young and PwC have elected to both strengthen their oversight of their audits within the company, while both deciding not to split their business either between audit and consultation. KPMG's UK chairman, Bill Michael, has recently made a statement about regaining the trust of auditors and wants to restore the company's reputation to what it was before the scandal. And KPMG has also moved to elect a new head of audit while moving the old head out of the audit and into a chair position.
Right. It should be mentioned that Deloitte also decided not to comment on the scandal altogether. All right.
You think
So,
they just got too comfortable with the clients and didn't engage in enough testing?
Right.
That is yeah.
It's a possibility considering the conspiracy, because a lot of things can go into why they want to cheat the exams. Obviously, the main goal is to have more money for a company. So if KPMG is getting too buddy with their with the clients per se, then yes, that it can be deferred that or inferred that they are trying to cheat the system from the inside.
Or they just trust whatever the firm tells them instead of engaging in a test?
Yes, that's most likely what happened. So if they believe that a number is accurate just based on the past, so say PepsiCo kept giving them like these numbers, and in the past they were accurate, but then for this last audit that they did, because that number was accurate so many times, they just believed that that number would be accurate again, and then they didn't test the actual information.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to some of the GE issues.
Yes.
Okay. Good job, guys. Why don't you save it, and I think we'll be good.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, and thank you everybody for listening. We look forward to your comments.